host, and this is the Academy Conversation with Mr. Lou and Mr. Clark. Appreciate everybody for coming in and joining. I have a unique panel tonight because tonight we're talking about HBCUs, and I would like the time for everybody to go around and rep their college, rep their colors, as they like to say. Rep their colors and tell them what college they graduated from and what degree they got and why it's important that we support HBCUs and the HBCU experience. So, of course, I want to start with my co-host. Clark, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Calvin Clark. I didn't graduate. I went to the army.
All right. Mary.
Hi, I'm Marion Clark. I went to Alabama A&M University. Go Bulldogs.
Mr. Chris.
I
What's going on? I'm Chris. I went to Alabama A&M University.
All right. And forgive me if I forget your name, but Mr. Harold, Kimberly, and Ashley, right? The Grants. That's what I gotta say. The Grants.
I'm Harold. I attended Jackson State University and Lemoyne on University.
Okay.
Same here. Kimberly Grant. We attended Jackson State University. We graduated from Lemoyne College.
Okay. Y'all met in college.
We
We
met in
did.
the band at Jackson State University.
Look at that back love with that music. Go ahead, Laverne. And Mr. Woodrow, would you go ahead?
Yes, I attended Jackson State University and also graduated from Lemoyne Owens College also.
Okay, Ashley, I didn't forget you. Go ahead and get your props, baby girl.
My name is Ashley. I graduated from Jackson State University, majored in English education.
All right. And Miss Regina and Tom Jr., correct?
Yes.
All right.
Hey, we're both graduates of Jackson State University.
Yeah,
Um, I have a degree in biology, pre-veterinary medicine, and
yeah. I have a degree in civil engineering and minor in mathematics.
A minor in mathematics. I mean, you won't be my accountant. Hey, man, I will say this is an honor to be here with you guys because it allows people to see that we can change the narrative how we're looked at as black folks, as black people, that all our dreams has come true and education is possible. And I would like to know what is the HBCU experience? Would somebody would like to go at that and tell me what it's like just to be on an all black campus?
Um,
Can I, let
it is the
me in.
unity. It's the pride. It's the family foundation. The the academic actual scholars. It's the I don't know, man. It's something else. It's like a whole different atmosphere, especially if you're not coming from that type of an area. Like for me, I'm from the east side of Atlanta, so it's us.
Right.
It's a bunch of us.
I get you.
But to actually be in one spot where everybody is just they're in their own lane, but at the same time they're doing their own thing, but together.
So
It's
no
a
bucket,
type
no,
of
no crab in the
unification
bucket
that you don't
syndrome.
really, yeah, you don't really get that anywhere else. You just can't describe it.
Wow.
I can
Y'all can
kind
jump
of
in anytime you want.
I can kind of have a comparison. So when I went to high school, in high school there were many whites as there were blacks, so it was kind of mixed. So when I first stepped on Jackson State's campus, it was a culture shock because I had never been around that many black people in my life. But
Hmm.
immediately I realized that I formed friends that have lasted for a lifetime. Or you develop family members as it relates to the classes. Our professors didn't just require that we learn something. You had to learn how to do with, how to do without. There were some classes at the University of Memphis in a science lab, and seeing students who didn't know how to put their glassware together in an organic chem lab, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute, y'all! This is University of Memphis. I'm just over here taking a class. What in the world? The Jackson State taught you how to fix it, whether you had it or you didn't. So your professors actually cared. So I was not a number. I got life advice. I got, hey, this is your major, but have you considered this? Hey, I know you're doing this, but let's think about this. And so you ended up even with the college counselor. I can speak to right now. I have professors who did videos for my husband's 50th birthday and sent as a shout out because they really invested in us. And being in the band, It's just like you just inherited another 300 family members. Some family members you like, some you didn't. But at the end of the day, we could all still speak to each right now because it was just like having a big family. The experience I just can't take for granted because you were not a kid who your parents sent off to school just to survive. They put you there, and the professor's goals were to make sure that you thrive. And that's my biggest outtake from attending an HBCU. So my kids couldn't go anywhere but a HBCU if I was going to foot the bill.
Oh wow, oh wow, that's interesting. Fortunately for
Um,
me, I didn't have to foot the bill for any of mine. Um, but Miss Grant, I'd like to ask you. So, would there be any difference between you say you and your husband met in the band? Is there any difference between being a student at HBCU and doing football, band, or anything than just say me? I'm going to the HBCU, but I don't do anything. It's just like how do them two intertwine? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
You know,
that's go
you
ahead.
know, in your
it's very
family,
different.
you have the whole family, but inside that family, you kind of click with this set of cousins. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that. So I just advise that everybody's active in something, whether it's an academic club or anything. But being in the band, I probably created closer. I'll say we both did closer bonds with people who were in the band. Because at the HBCU, if you're in the band, so you get out of class, you typically don't have night classes. And when you go to practice at 6 o'clock, if you're playing Southern or Alcorn or a big listen, we're in practice till 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. So who else can you be that close with except those people? When you're not at band practice, you're studying because if you try to party, you're gonna fail. You're gonna flunk out. So you are with those people to the point you travel to Indiana together. That's a long bus ride. You travel to California together. That's a long bus ride. So who are your friends? It's like you have a support system. Hey, my friends were Tammy and Tammy was and Latrita. They were both biology majors. So they would say, hey, girl, don't take him. You're not going to learn anything. Take him. He's hard, but you're going to like the class. So you had like big sisters or cousins, and the band directors are almost like dads and uncles, aunties. So it's
Wow.
just like that
Wow.
group. I'm sure Tom Jr. can speak about the football team, but having that group of band members, like right now, I can call New Orleans and talk to a couple. I can call Houston and talk to a few. I can call Memphis. Like once you're with that group of people, it's like you're stuck. You can't get rid of them. They're
Yeah.
like family. It's like going to a reunion when you
Um,
go to a.
one of the reasons because Kim and
You
I
sure
both
can.
kind of have the same motto about HBCUs and
Mm-hmm.
the support this because a lot of times, and one of the things that you're mentioning, what I'm thinking that I'm hearing is that a lot of times African Americans believe that the educational experience at the HBCU will be subpar. They think because you're in a black school, the education is not going to be as rigorous. But I can tell you from the experience with my son here, my son loves numbers. My son doesn't like words. The numbers are his forte. Let him turn around and do them.
Uh,
But well,
Mr.
he may
Tom
not remember this.
Jr. Let me interrupt you,
Yeah,
Miss
this is
Gina.
Tom Jr.
I
He
can tell you don't want to talk. Go
you
ahead.
can
Go ahead.
tell
Tell
me
us
he
your
don't want me to
experience.
tell the story. But when he first got to school and he was like, he may not remember this, but I remember it. Him saying that these, these folks hard. Because you have to understand, they know what you're going to face. I might know that you're intelligent, but they know what you're going to have to face. And just because you can do the numbers and you're good at this area, they know that you have to be a well-rounded young man because you're black and you're a man. And
Mr.
so yeah,
Yeah,
they're going
Mr.
to round you out in a way
Yeah,
that's
Mr.
going to
Woodrow.
say you go out and really get it.
What was your experience? Because it seems that I got some young folks on here, and I love to see this because it's different generations, and you building that generation foundation. And Clark and I just did a show on generation curses and generational wealth. Yeah,
Mm.
and from what I'm seeing, just from all of you guys, I mean, y'all all family. Just like you refuse to let that generation curse remain, and I just want to applaud y'all for that. I mean, my hands to y'all. But I would like for Mr. Woodrow Wilson to what was your experience?
Wilson.
I mean, you know what I meant, Mr. Woods.
President.
I apologize for that.
It's the president.
Yeah.
All right, Captain Coolidge.
Hey, 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 hey.
All right,
Yeah.
Captain Coolidge.
Well, just like Chris and Kim and Regina stated, my experience in the going to a HBCU, it's just like a family bond. Just stepping on campus. Then at first coming from an all African American school district in Tunica, um, I knew that once I went to Jackson State, that these people were actually going to push me to a level that I know that I would have to face if I went to a PWI. And so with that part said, I know I had to. I want to go to a school with somebody that looked like me, talked like me, and then push me to a level where that I know that
Hmm.
what I'm going to face out there, and like I said, going to a HBCU, people think that you will have a substandard type of education, but that's not true. They push all of us, everybody you see right here, to a limit whether you're gonna have to be successful in.
Marion, what was your experience? Mr. Chris gave his, and Tom Jr. He ain't said nothing yet, but go ahead, Marion.
Don't forget about it. Get him.
I ain't. You know me, Clark. I pick on everybody. Cause I gotta come back to Miss Ashley Grant as well.
Just like Mr. and Mrs. Grant, I met Chris at A&M's band
Hmm.
from predominantly high school, and they thought going to anything. They had all kinds of bad things about it, but the end experience and being around more of my people showed me a whole nother light. I was used to seeing maybe six of my kind in a
Yeah, that's
whole
me.
school year
Hmm.
and then being surrounded by thousands.
Right,
And it was a whole nother experience and it was nice.
right,
Hard at first. It
right.
was a big adjustment,
I mean,
but
that's
it was
life. You're gonna have
nice. And
adjustments
they
everywhere.
welcome you in as a family, giving you life lessons, people you don't even know. People you
Hmm.
don't even know helping you when down here, ain't nobody gonna help you. They're not helping you with anything.
Yeah,
If they don't have to, they're not going to.
yeah.
And it
So
was
let
just
me
a
give
brand
you a
new
little background.
experience.
I don't mean to cut you off. Let me give you a little background about myself. Like I said, I grew up in West Virginia. I went to Bluefield State University, where it's a HBUC, but it's 80% white, and we didn't have that. We didn't have we didn't have dorms to stay in. You had if you was fortunate enough to have a car to get back and forth to school, you was winning. The teacher I remember in my econ class, he told us straight, I don't care if you get it or not, the school gonna pay me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the white teacher, but it got me thinking. Then, like again, it's like, wow, this is if this is really it, and this supposed to be a HBC, my experience is bad. You know what I'm saying? Miss Grant, Miss Ashley Grant, would you like to go ahead and chime in?
Yes, I think the HBU experience is very inspiring because I think if you was to go to another, let me say a PWI, you would have had that type of experience with your professors. And my professors take me in like I was probably one of their children or their niece or something. So I think it's really cool because when I came to Jackson State, I loved a better person. I was more vocal. I was more ambitious. And it was because of the help of my professors. They really took me in. And I don't think I would have that same experience if I went to a PWI. So it
Okay,
really is like a family.
okay. Tom Jr., you're not getting away. Let's hear your let's hear it, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What was I saying about my HBCU experience? I mean, I have a very close knit family. I've always had that experience. You know what I'm saying? So going to HBCU, it kind of felt very home like to me. Just being able to like just have so many people and just be so easy to talk to other people and just it's just very easy. And I really didn't understand that until I went to I want to work like in my internships. I worked for Georgia Tech and other little PWIs in the California as well, and just to see the change of the dichotomy of it all is crazy because it's like I see how they interact with each other, and and I had a professor that I worked with, and it's crazy. Like I worked like 8, 9, 10 hours a day for this man. I barely knew anything about him. And I barely knew anything about him. And some of my counterparts, I knew nothing about them. You know what I'm saying? It was all just kind of business. Like it all felt formal. It all felt, you knew that everybody here was just here for the to like pay their money so they can advance in their life. You know what I'm saying? Which is okay. It's fine. That's what college is for. At the base of it, but at the same time, it was so ever present in your everyday life in those institutions. So you have HBCU, and I can always testify. I had so many surrogate mothers over there. You know what I'm saying? I can name at least four off the top of my head right now that I'm like. There's been situations where I felt like it was gonna be cut and dry. I was gonna be out of this point, and I wasn't gonna finish the degree. But if I didn't have those women in my life who like pushed me and like did me favors or like got me out of bad situations, I had no idea it was a bad situation. You know,
Right.
I definitely wouldn't be here. I definitely wouldn't have my degree. I definitely wouldn't graduate with honors. Like none of that would have happened unless I had those women in my life. And like I asked for none of it. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? They just kind of took me in, and there was no other questions out there. And that's
Totally
what I love
understand.
about.
Yeah. With
Huh?
that, I would say it's like this because my son again went to William and Mary. He played football at William and Mary, and he said he used to be on campus, and people walk up to him. You go here? Yeah. And the very next thing they ask is he an athlete? Instead of
Oh,
asking did he get there on his merit, which he did. He just happened to play football, and he had a hard time with that. I was ill equipped to explain to him not why, but what he got to do to continue to get past that. Because where he went to college at, like I said, it's 90% white, and that's why it goes back to I think Woodrow was saying that they think the HBCUs college is not the education is not up to par with the P. Y'all say
And
PWI. I say the white man
but
college. I say what it is.
yeah,
I'm
because
I'm sorry. Yeah.
when you are in institutions that have brainwashed some of our people to believe that anything that we're attached to can't be good enough or
Mhm.
better,
Mhm.
you we
Yeah.
don't think that that's good enough for your children. But what they fail to realize is what we may not have as far as accommodations. We might not have the fancy dorms, but when you go in that classroom, the professors that you're going to deal with know exactly what you're going to have to face. They know that you're going to be thought of less at, and they never accept your excuse. They don't care about the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Mhm.
You're going.
Mhm. I
The
get
thing
it.
is, they're going to help you get it done. They're not going to tell you to do it and just
Mhm.
leave you out there because
Right.
one of the reasons it was important for my children to go is because number one, I needed you to understand
Mhm.
that there are people out there like you who are going to get what they know is due them in this world. And they look just like you.
Mhm.
And you're going to build a support system of HBCUs because I know that if I'm sorry to say, but if I meet another teacher or whatever in the field and I find out you went to an HBCU, I'm gonna try to help you. I'm sorry.
So you
I'm gonna
saying that
try to get
you saying I'm
yeah,
sorry. You saying the HBCUs is just like the Masonic Lodge?
yeah, pretty
well,
much.
I
Hey,
agree.
I'm
hey, 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 hey.
you know now
I
whether
know
you
Clark
stay
was gonna
with
say
that's
something.
on you. But I'm gonna try and help you get through the door.
Yeah.
I'm gonna help you. I might
That's
talk about Alabama to from here to young, but if they
Right.
come to me and they need something, don't yeah, that's my cousin. You can't talk about my cousin. I can talk about my cousin,
Right.
but you can't talk
That's
Right.
about my
right.
Right.
cousin.
See,
And if my cousin needs something, I
right.
got to step up.
Right.
I got to step up, and
Right.
and our children need to know that we can be there for each other because many of them think that we won't. They haven't seen it in action to know that some of us have a big enough voice where we might not have that much power, but we might have some influence. And we are willing to use that influence to help our children. You know, like
Mhm.
when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with my life, my professors opened up doors for me to try these things. For
Mm-hmm.
me to say, I don't want to do that when I grow up. That's not the answer. That's
Yeah.
not the answer. But they allowed the avenue, and it was okay because they were going to lead them someplace else. Currently have he's a graduate. I got one that's getting a PhD at Jackson State right now, and I have another one that's an engineering major at Savannah. She's the
Mm-hmm.
president of the Engineers Association there. And I know that when I was at Jackson State, I would not have finished if I hadn't been at Jackson State because Woodrow is my brother. And we
Mm-hmm.
lost our father during the time I was at school.
Oh,
And he died young. My dad didn't make it, barely made it to 45.
that's rough.
And he died young. But see,
Mm-hmm.
they came and my mother notified them that my father had passed. Somebody came and got me before anybody knew what was going on. They came and got me out of my dorm. They came and brought me downstairs. They brought me to a place, set me down, told me what had happened because I was in a small town, so everybody knew our father. So they would
Right.
try to catch me before somebody
Right.
else would tell me. And they isolated me and they took care of me until my uncles could come up and pick me up and take me home.
Right.
And when I got back to school, see, this is how I know me. I tell my students, that's why I love this school. I don't care. You can't ever tell me nothing about the I love. Nothing.
no,
Because when I came back to school, they changed my schedule and put me with a teacher that was gonna watch me. I know they called my mama every week. They didn't tell me they were calling, but I know they were calling her every week to let them know I was okay. And I was in what Jackson State calls the honors college. They had a separate college for accelerated students. My economics teacher helped start Kentucky Fried Chicken. My genetics professor, my genetics professor, one of them, I had veterinarians, botanists that had corporations, companies in the business.
damn,
They were
Clark, I was
watching.
born in the wrong part of the country.
Yeah. So, but they watched me, and they made me go to counseling after he passed. And
Right.
so to have that, and they helped me keep my academic scholarship.
And that's beautiful.
So
And that's what I call black
so
people helping black people right there.
I have a tip. If you need to be someplace that even though there are thousands of people, somebody knows your name.
Right.
Somebody
Right.
knows
Right.
your name.
So with that being said, with you said that professor came and they came and set you down. Of course, it's not like that today. I do want to play this video of Roland Martin. That's Clark's news. I don't like Roland
Yeah,
Martin.
yeah.
Hey, hey, don't hate, bruh. Don't hate.
I love you, Clark, but I don't like Roland. But I'm gonna play this, and I want to get y'all started on this as well. So let me get
It's
That
Roland.
might be
unfiltered, man. It's
It's
unfiltered.
unfiltered. He just take too long to get to the point. For me, you know that.
oh, this one he's going off that thing. But if
Yeah,
okay.
that's where he going off about FAMU. That's
Your business online?
He finna,
Go to
he finna kill
Wix.com
him.
and get your site up and running
That's too
with
loud,
a
let me
tailored
know.
creation experience.
Nah, it's good, man.
What in the hell are you doing with your premier face of your institution? Look, I get resources in that, but ain't no way in hell the band should be eating a box meal. No, you have to figure out how to get it done. Now, 280 members of the band, 20 support staff. When they tell me that you have women who have monthly periods and they don't have any privacy, they can't even deal with their own issues, and they gotta figure it out in terms of going to bathrooms and stuff.
All right, I'm gonna stop that like right there. I want the ladies to interject on this because as the men on here know, our mamas done told us you treat a woman with much respect. If you're gonna lay down with her, make sure she got a place to take a shower, whatever. I'm quite sure your mama done said something like that. I'm just being real. That's who I am. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I say what it is, cause I think our people have been get everything as Clark like to say, soft serve ice cream. So how would you feel if if young Miss Ashley Grant come to you and said, "Hey, this was my experience on the band, and it's at a HBCU, and then all of y'all said we feel like family, but then you got these kids coming out at Florida, not Florida State, but FAMU, saying this because, and then the reason I say
Well,
that because my experience with my son at William and Mary when he had to go to summer school and everything to graduate early and all of that, he had to find his own place to stay. He had to find his own stuff to eat. Luckily, William and Mary was only 45 minutes from where we live. I used to carry him and his roommates pots of spaghetti or whatever I decided to cook because I'm a trained chef. I like to cook. So, and I'm sitting here like, this is a HBCU where we supposed to be family. Like, I wouldn't do that to another human being. So I would like for the ladies to go on that.
Maybe I don't know the whole thing. I remember my sister at the top of the screen. At least for me, I know she was in the band at Alabama A&M.
Mm-hmm.
We're just a band family. So Ashley also was in the band most recently at Jackson State. So I don't. When you said a box meal, I was like, okay, we got box meals sometimes. It's all good. But when it came to in the restroom or for sanitary issues, women on
Mm-hmm.
their cycle, if we listen, I remember going to St. Petersburg, Florida, and I won't even 1990, marching in the Martin Luther King parade. We had a hotel, but we marched for doggone like 5 hours in that doggone parade. But we stopped back by the church. Now you got out to the church, you got yourself together. You ate the
Mm-hmm.
meal that the church ladies cooked for us, and we went on. So I don't know the whole story, but what I can say is that and a lot of our PWIs people will pay their alumni money. I'm a lifetime alumni member of Jackson State University.
Mm-hmm.
Lifetime and will continue to pay the local fees. I'm Lemoyne College is where I graduated. I continue to pay, but sometimes we got to put in as well. So yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking, but maybe I don't know the whole thing. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I back out.
I can tell you this: that alumni money, as y'all like to say, PWIs, it goes a long way. Cause when I paid it, my son got whatever he wanted. When I didn't pay it, it's always was an issue, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a big problem. Miss Marion, what you
well,
think
I'm
about that
not.
video?
They
We
can't
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 hear
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 you.
you,
you.
Mary.
We can't hear you, Marion. Well, I go ahead and go with Miss Young Ashley Grant. Would you go ahead and say what you want to say or how you feel?
I don't have a comment on it.
Did you experience that?
Not really. I didn't experience that, so
So I can say at
What did
Jackson
they give
State,
you?
we pay money. We have a school alumni. I'm a lifetime alumni member of the school, but we also have a Sonny Groom alumni
yeah.
association. So if they
Mm-hmm.
come to Atlanta, then we're all getting money together to so the students have what they need when they get here. If we go home for homecoming, we have probably a bigger alumni than the school in most cases, but we're gonna make sure that that $50 that we pay every year is going to help the kids. So I get that everybody may not be able to contribute, but we haven't experienced that. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
band buses, the trips, those were the best trips of our lives. We could eat that box meal from wherever it came from, Subway, and kick it on the
But it
bus like
wasn't,
it was a
it
party.
wasn't always box meal. They would
We
actually
we
give
went
us,
out to eat
they
hot
would give us
food.
they would give us like
I
an allowance.
Give you what?
Yeah, I think
Give
that
us
the FAMU situation is
Mm-hmm.
something else going on in FAMU. This is just part of it. It's coming to light because if you go back a couple of months, my son and I were discussing. They let the athletic director go because of some funny business that they haven't quite opened up about. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is not something that just happened suddenly. It's just that the kids have started to verbalize it, but something's been going
Yeah,
on in family for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's been going on
yeah,
because they fired the athletic director young.
Mm-hmm.
them like they
Mr.
just
yeah.
Grant,
They
you can
About
fired
chime
the
in at any
athletic
time.
director like a month ago, like right before they had their first game.
Oh
They
yeah.
oh
fired him,
no,
and then they.
dude, they fired him in February. They fired him because they said he put them in a contract. It was conflicting about something.
he didn't get approval.
He didn't get approval for something that happened. This happened back in February. It's been something
Mm.
going on with FAMU since the beginning of the year,
They
hadn't it?
just they just fired somebody else a couple of weeks ago. It was somebody else got fired besides the director.
Now
Now
you
that
got
But
might
the
be
big
something
thing,
else, but
you should go read the New York
I couldn't
Press
open it. I
the
couldn't
New
open
York
Mm-hmm.
Press article. Yeah, they had a whole little they had a whole like newspaper article about them There's a lot of things going on more than that. They had like sexual assault things going on. They have
Oh wow.
lawsuits over there. They have a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
I
And so what's
know my
happening is
son is there.
every
He's
once
in
in
the
a
band
while,
at
every
FAMU
once
right
in a
now.
while, just like any university, you have to have a cleansing. And see
Right.
what happens is when all the stuff, children gonna start talking about what's really happening,
Right.
and they're gonna. Jackson State went through a couple years ago. We had to get rid of some folks that stole all our money, and they were hiring their friends. And we had a high
President.
school football coach that was the college coach that told the band not to play during the games. Uh, yeah, every once in a while, schools go through this place where they got to go. They got to open up and they got to clean house.
But
They
you,
don't have
Mr.
you
to
know
clean
Chris,
what?
house.
You're talking
Mr. Chris,
about
what you
the band
think? You know,
leader,
you've been
but the
quiet.
band members. I have a friend who's a band member. His son is a band member. I'm sorry, at FAMU, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're oblivious to what's happening. So it kind of makes me question, like, what are we really talking about? Because this kid is very active in the band, doing his thing, but he's looking at us like, what do you mean?
They also, you talking about a 3 year window. They just now kind of rebuilding that program after their young man died. Yeah, once they had,
That's
remember that
right,
Hayes
they did.
that
That's
Yeah,
at
that drum major
Jackson
that
State.
got killed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's at
yeah,
Jackson State, right?
it
Yeah, I
was
just
I
at
read
said
that
fam.
article today.
No, that's at
Yeah,
FAMU. They had
FAMU,
a
right?
drum
that was
major
at
got
Oh,
FAMU.
okay.
Hayes.
Yeah, yeah, it's 10 years ago they got Hayes, and that's what Roland Martin was talking about. It was 10 years ago, and they had locked everything down, and now they need to relax the restrictions so these kids can do what they need to do and take care of themselves, or whatever the case may be. But
Um,
Chris, I
that's
still want to
because
know what
it's
you have. You
10.
look like you sleep, man. You all right? I got some tequila that I'm sipping on.
Oh no, I just had to call live, man. I'm right here with you. I'm just listening. Um, as far as it's I don't know what it is with FAMU. It obviously it can be a lot of different things, especially with our HBCUs that happen over time. But FAMU can somehow get right back to the main source, and I'm not sure if it's they're still cleansing or cleaning house up. I don't really know, but it's everything from the hazing allegations, the uh, sexual assault allegations, the financial aid allegations, especially now in this present day with the football team and the I'm not sure if y'all heard about the nude photo shoot by the young lady, 24-year-old
Yeah,
woman, grad
That
yeah,
student,
happened in broad day.
yeah. The
posing right
broad
on the
daylight.
campus in front of their posing right in front of the campus in front of
her.
their staff.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
I've been on FAMU campus.
hey,
Like
clue
that's a
brother
great.
in because I'm lost. What happened?
I'll
A
send it
young
to you.
lady,
Don't worry
All
about it.
right.
I'll send it to
she
you.
did a nude cover. Yeah, she did a nude photo shoot in the middle of the university during the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
I was like,
did.
I was
Right.
looking at the
Broad
pictures,
daylight.
like, take this picture like
Broad
That's
that.
my
daylight.
son. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it
Tom
wasn't like
Jr.
it was
liked
it's
it.
back
something.
nowhere. Like it's all
It's
dusty
Don't
like
worry
off.
one
about
thing
it.
after
I'll send it to you.
it really is one
Uh,
thing after the other. I don't know what's going on, but
but dude, I
Yeah.
will say this. I know I was talking to Regina earlier. I will say social media. Our kids are so immersed in social media. They are so void of social contact, and it's so crazy. You
Man,
look
they
That
like you
ain't
agree
getting
with
the truth.
disagree,
I'm
Tom
like,
Jr.
that
we got the
that young
whole
lady,
train.
the young lady that took the picture on FAMU's campus was she wasn't even originally a student there. She
Wow.
was at some other PWI, and she had came over there. All of a sudden, now she's doing nude photo shoots. She could have done that over there where she was. So
Right.
you're never convinced
That was
that
just another eyesore.
behind that.
And let me
Right.
guess, she called it art.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a whole
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Uh,
I was
But that's to let us know because us HBCU graduates, we wouldn't do that.
nah.
We wouldn't even let we wouldn't even let her do that as a Jackson State graduate. I wouldn't have let her do that on FAMU's campus, and I was there
But that's
only
what I
because
that,
thing.
you disrespecting. You know how black people are. We watch the news. Please don't let him be black. Please don't let him be black. We all do that. How we gonna let?
yeah,
We
the
wouldn't
DC
let that
sniper
happen
broke
on
my
us black
heart.
people. We wouldn't do it.
Yeah, the DC DC Sniper broke my heart. I
So
understand
we,
what you're
as an HBCU family, we've been reading this stuff. We've been seeing it. We know something's going on in FAMU. We just don't know exactly what it is. And like Kim said, she has a friend that their child is in the band there, and they don't see any of this stuff that the media is talking about. So what is really going on if the person that's ensconced in the band doesn't even know it? What is everybody else talking about?
Mm.
And so why
interesting.
are they saying what they're saying if all the kids aren't saying this is true?
But I'm
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think FAMU situation. It's a top down situation. It's all leadership, all leadership. Like all these institutions, the athletic program, for academics, admissions, that foolishness going on in your campus, the security issues. I'm like, it's just so much going on all the time over there. And I'm like, you're one of the top, it's the most premier HBCU. You know what I'm saying? It's like a 100, but like there's a top. You know, there's a hierarchy here. To be real with you, you know what I'm saying?
It
And like
is.
you're a big university. And like I don't hear this kind of Bethune Cookman or nothing like that. I don't hear nothing like that. Okay, like we don't have these kind of issues. You know what I'm saying? It's like y'all are getting funding, but it's like you shouldn't be having some of these same issues that are going on. You know what I'm saying? Your football program should not be dealing with this stuff. Your
I
basketball
think it's a
program
lot of them. It's cats that line in their pockets. That money ain't going. It's somebody stealing.
yeah,
It's just
I feel
bottom
like
line.
it's a double edged because like the white folks from like the actual state taking their money, and also the people who are in charge, they're not spending the little money they get correctly.
So is go ahead, Mr. Woodrow. You look like you got something to say.
Now, I was just looking at that photo shoot, and this young lady, she was a graduate student from HBCU.
Why you looking at the art?
Yeah, I'm looking at the art form. But they said she was a grad student from FAMU. Don't know why would she do anything like that.
No, I'm saying she wasn't even an undergrad. She was at
That's
graduate school at FAMU.
And now
right.
she's bringing in when they're trying to
She's not
FAMU
been
is
an
trying to bring
HBCU
in
student. She was
uh,
a
some
graduate
type of
student.
lawsuit.
Love.
FAMU is trying to bring in some type of lawsuit now. Obviously, that's indecent exposure. That's very obvious. Um, and then now she's trying to bring people down with her. Now she's talking about three. I'm not sure which. She hasn't released the names yet, but now she's talking about three main professors over there. It's just one thing after the
Yeah,
other.
So
yeah.
that is what my degree is in criminal justice, and he's absolutely right. It is indecent exposure, but they can't arrest her because they
Yeah,
didn't catch her in the act.
why would you do that anyway? You knew you were wrong. Like you
Right,
gotta take certain consequences for your actions.
right.
Now you trying to bring more people into this foolishness and burn down the university even more. Like, if she just want drama to go with it. Like, come on now.
Right. What they're gonna get her for is defaming the character and defamation of character to the school, using their likeness and their image. Because if people don't know these names to these schools, I guarantee they own the rights to these names. When they go there and I'm on FAMU's campus and I'm going to get naked and take it and call it art.
Yeah,
You
it's
didn't ask
trademark.
permission to do that, even though that's a public institution. You still didn't ask for permission to do that.
Right.
And so yeah,
Yeah,
they'll get
man,
her
they
for
can
that,
prove it if they want to.
huh?
You see, but she's not counting the fact black people think we don't have good sense, so they're gonna
Yeah,
try it. If they'll try
yeah.
it.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. And the issue about the football team, I that about them not having the
Man,
players eligible and ready to play, and
that's what I'm saying, but they don't put the investment in those kids. But they don't also look at other things. 'Cause a lot of them, and no offense, but I'm saying a lot of those kids guys how they run their little even small, kind of like William and Mary and stuff like that. Certain things, even in small little PWI like football, like athletic programs, they don't deal with this. This
No,
is
yes they do. Yes they do.
thing we're talking about.
Let me tell you, my
I
son's
mean,
first
yeah, they William and
right,
Mary.
listen,
my son's first week on campus, and all y'all kids do this. Y'all go to the parties. Y'all want to see what it is. He called me while he was at the party, and this is what he said: "Hey, pops, they just got a pile of coke on the table." I said, "What are you doing?" "I'm at a party." "Go to your room now. I'll be over in a minute." And so it's different. It's a different scale. The difference is, and this is what I found out. The difference is, as that at PWIs, they have the money to cover it up when they kids get in
Yep.
trouble.
Well, yeah,
That's
that's what I mean.
yeah. So it happens. It was rapes, shootings, everything. It
yeah.
everything, and that
Oh
is a
yeah, that's
predominantly
what they're
white
doing.
school.
You
So
can't have a bunch of
But
19, 18 to 22, 23 year olds gathered into one space and not expect foolishness. You just
Yeah, but
you
It's
go
gonna
ahead.
happen.
the
You
hmm
saying
go.
though is like in the eligibility for FAMU students, it was not on the student's fault. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Cause like they didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't like no cases against them or nothing. It's just like they had got bad information from administrations about what classes they were supposed to take over the summer so they could be eligible.
yeah, I got
Like
that
you know, like
video.
this, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and a lot of them took the classes that they were required to take, but they didn't turn their paperwork in time.
So do you blame
but
that on the
I'm saying
student or do you
I mean,
blame that
right,
on the administration?
that should have never been an issue.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
Now, I give you a prime example. It's like my oldest daughter. She played basketball at the University of Central Florida on a full ride. Erica never got a chance to really come home because they travel so much, and she was in summer school every summer. Matter of fact, from the time she graduated, she reported early to college,
hmm
Right.
Yeah.
and she
hmm
wouldn't have changed. If she wouldn't have decided she wanted to change her major at the last minute, she could have graduated early. She could have graduated in 3 years because she had
hmm
all the classes. And it's I think that the HBUs they're trying to eat out of the pot is not big enough for everybody to truly eat like they want to.
Yeah, 'cause I did go look at the endowments for Jackson States. I did go look at like in West Virginia. There's only two black colleges: West Virginia State and Bluefield State. I looked at some of these endowments. Like I looked at FAMU's endowment. Their endowment is $95.6 million. And you mean to tell me these kids got to eat box lunches? I understand everybody got to get a piece of that pie.
Well, I'm telling you,
So
this is
why
not.
they eating box
Um,
lunches?
And then that's what I'm saying. Like, how are they able to hire all those people like out of the blue like that? Because they now, like now they're talking about they're hiring these administrative officers now, and that was the whole issue. Is like when you have these bigger schools and stuff like that, they think it's all about the facilities. A lot of it is facilities and stuff like that too. But
Mm-hmm.
we're talking a lot of that money goes to administrative
Frustration.
work. It's just like
Yeah.
calling people, getting all the grades, and get the liaison. But they have like if you go to like from the University of Florida, they literally have like six officers who are just liaison from the institution to the players. Like they're the ones that make sure all the grades are checked in. All right, they're all eligible. All that. It's their whole
Mm-hmm.
job all year. They literally have one job is to make sure that the players on the roster are eligible come game time.
And that is they main
Telling you,
look.
I've already seen them.
But Dion
My
doing
son
that.
had messed up. He had to take a summer class. You know his class was it was an anthropology class, but you know what they had him doing? Just digging for stuff, and he got an A.
yeah.
And I'm like, that is how you keep
But
your
see,
football
they
players
don't.
eligible? That
The
is not good.
HBCUs do not have the staff to handle what they need to handle because they had one person. One person was responsible for handling all of the teams to
Mm,
make sure they were
Yeah.
eligible.
She's not even
That was
wow.
just
doing
one.
just that. Like
Yeah,
she's doing a lot of other things
yeah.
on top of
And
that.
that's not just their only job. There were other people. So yeah, you pile up a bunch of titles on one person that should be given to five people. Stuff's gonna happen. But then they're gonna lay the blame at her feet. Everything gonna be her fault.
Right, because she the
That's
You
leader of
right.
the
asked her,
department.
you asked her to
hmm
do five jobs.
Right, yeah,
But
and
now
when
all
it,
of a sudden they got money to hire somebody.
right,
They got money to hire people now.
right,
we
and
got
that's
to
what
look at the top. How is the budget being made,
Right. That's
and
what
where
Tom
is the money?
Right.
How is the money trickling down to the band or to the athletic?
right.
Is the band a part of the athletic program? Are you hiring enough staff? And unfortunately, it takes someone who is loud enough to know
Right.
someone to make a difference to make a change. For example,
Right.
my oldest daughter cheered. She's a Jackson State grad as well. She cheered for Jackson State. They had the cheerleaders listed under the band budget, but they asked us to pay $1,360 for travel uniforms or what have you. I said, "Girl, you lost your mind." I went online. I paid for high school cheerleading, sixth grade through 12th grade. I went online and I emailed the president, and I didn't have to even say Title IX. I just emailed her and said, "I'm shocked that an organization under your athletic budget that's mostly girls is being made to pay for this. But as an alumni of your school and a former member of the marching band, I didn't pay for anything, including my spats for my shoes. I didn't pay for a hotel or travel. I didn't pay for the dorms during summer camp, like you're asking me to find my child away to work. I said away to camp. I said I sent my child to Mississippi for you for her to help enhance your athletic program, and you want me to pay. Now my daughter had just all the children had paid $300 when they first got there. She said, "Mom, what you do?" I said, "What are you talking about? We just got called to the president's office. They're giving us all refunds of our money, and now we have to pay nothing." You have to know the law and how to change things. And unfortunately, somebody's mama, daddy, uncle, cousin, relative, politician, somebody has to say something so that the money is not all at the top in administrative fees and salaries. I get it, our salaries should be equal across the board. But now we got to get the money down to where the kids are as well to make sure that someone is looking out for the kids. Even as a band member back in the day, somebody looked at our grades. When my daughter was there, somebody looked at the grades to make sure they could march every week. If you didn't go to tutorial, you didn't march. If you didn't get a progress report from your professors, you didn't march. So if you can do that in the band, doggone it, you can do it for the football team. But we have to adjust the money and make sure the money is down to where we need it for the children. Somebody got to speak up.
But the school, like I know at HBCU, the band is the main thing. It ain't the football team; it's the band. And I love watching. When I was a little boy growing up, I didn't understand it, but I love how they do the diagrams on the field and everything and all of that. I'm not
Can you
musically
explain that to the
inclined. I'm
football
just a
team?
number. Huh?
Can you explain that to the football team?
Can I explain it to the
What you
football
just
team?
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all the way in West Virginia, and I'm watching Akron's games. I'm watching Jackson State's game. I'm watching this, and all I want to see is the band. So I want to move this a little forward now.
That's a bigger issue. They're not asking money from the wrong people too. Like, why you ask students for that? Is crazy. Like, for the deal they put themselves in, like, it's crazy. Like, they have other bands out there, like the little PWI bands that be asking 3 times as much as Jackson State. Where Jackson State is obviously a better product. That's a lot of things problem with the directors there. They're not good deal makers. They're not, like people understand.
Yeah.
Athletic, it's not about just hiring a coach. It's all you're just honestly just making money from the university and the brand. Like that's your whole
Hey,
job.
Tom Jr., let me give you this scenario. If I'm going to ask somebody from for money, and I know that you at this school and you want to be here, and it's easier for me to ask you because that's where you want to be. It's not easy for me to ask somebody that don't care about my school. You get what I'm saying?
But now though, the thing is though, we have an already verified product for over 50 years. Like I'm saying, like that's just different because like these people want this, they want us there. Like you look at the Southern Heritage Classic, you bring it in 50,000 students. They've done that repeatedly, year after year after year. Even before they had Deion Sanders, people were going to that game. You know what I mean? That was more people than the University of Memphis will actually play that instead of ever gets. So the revenue has already been verified over years that this product makes money. If I have this here, it's gonna make us money. I'm saying is those people that you're asking, you Caucasians that you're asking and stuff for money, you're not asking enough because obviously the numbers. It's not like no Facebook. The numbers they make from the game have already been out. It's public document. People know how much these games make, but we're not getting enough of the pie. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
You say you're not getting enough of the pie because of the things that
It's
happen, or
bad. It's bad
Cause they don't,
contracts.
cause they
No, it's
don't
the
ask.
bad contracts. It's
It's
a
Bad,
bad.
contract,
bad
contract
contract,
negotiation.
and plus
But
the promoter over the Southern Heritage Classic, he's still getting double digits from the fans inside the stadium and from
yes,
the fans outside the stadium tailgate. See, they got to pay for all that, and both schools. What my nephew was talking about, they are the one that getting the short end of the stick.
I see what I see what you're saying now. If everybody, if the money's going to one spot and staying, it's not trickling down like Miss Grant was saying. It's not trickling down. I totally agree with that. I didn't.
Because
because I think
because
I think they
They
said
always
that like
act
with
like
Jackson State, I think they
they
said
act
when
like
Jackson
it's
State played,
bingo.
they made like
Yeah.
$450,000. All
yeah.
right, so they made 450. It cost them that 450 was just in traveling. You didn't even include the band. That's just football. And so that money was spent before they even got the check. because they're up there from what, like Wednesday to Saturday. That money's
So,
gone.
so it sounds like Tom Jr. with the love the numbers. He need to change the narrative with the
He need to
bad
be
contracts.
negotiating the contract.
Yeah, change the
It's
narrative.
like that's what I'm talking about. Like they make it seem like, oh, we're asking too much, and like we gotta figure out. No, it's just bad contract. It's people who don't know how to be real businessmen.
I would
Ain't
I,
no businessman gonna actually sign this stuff.
I would say this, and I know Mr. Woodrow is going to agree with me. If you never ask, you would not get. Plain and
Yeah,
simple.
it's a business
Plain and
deal.
simple.
Right.
It's just that simple. It's
Yeah,
And
not.
you know,
I mean,
and
we
Roland Martin was
get
just talking about
past
Yes.
our
this exact same thing.
Hmm.
I mean, because if we went
That
to the Southern Heritage Classic this weekend, we had to walk a mile and a half just to get to the stadium. To
Oh
get
no,
to the stadium.
I done marched enough in the military. I
And,
did
and
22 years, 7
I
months, and 9 days. No.
look, we're from the area, so I know all the little cuts where the park at, and they had
Hmm.
taken all my cuts, the
Hmm.
places that I knew I could get to. And I'm just
No
like,
shortcuts.
I, and so I'm sitting here going, everybody made money off of this classic. The school board, the Memphis City Shelby County School Board, charging $30 to park in their parking lot. The middle school right next to the stadium was charging $30. The church across the street was charging $30 to park in the parking lot. The chicken place down around the corner was charging 20 to park in their parking lot. Everybody made money except the students.
I done been on
Everybody
those
made
roads,
money.
but whoa, everybody getting a piece of the pie, and it's not, and the money's not
Everybody
going
made
where it's supposed to
the
be going.
vendors that didn't pay for to pay. They ain't pay no vending fee. They just went on the edge. They went on the edge and
Now,
set up for big plates.
Wow.
I
the
passed
Southern
it
Heritage
when I
Classic been
found
going on for
and walked to the stadium. They were selling fish
right.
plates. They ain't paid no vending fees. They waited till that business closed down on Friday evening. They set their grill up, put their grease on, and they sold plates.
Go ahead, Mr. Woodrow.
Uh, um, I was just saying, the the mass of everything is the promoter. Mr. Fred Jones, he's the promoter of the Southern Heritage Classic,
Yes, he is.
and so I think Tennessee State and Jackson State, like my nephew said, that if they didn't ask for it, they ain't gonna get it. And
Hmm.
that's what, and he made money twice, inside the state and outside the stadium. There's too
Hmm.
much money out there, and they ask for little or nothing just to bring fans into Memphis.
Mm. So
Now
is it I want to
Memphis
hear
hit
from
a
Mr.
lick
Grant
this
because he's been
weekend,
mighty
baby.
quiet. Is it that the faculty at the schools don't appreciate what they have, or is it just like Tom Jr. said? Is they're just is just bad contracts and they are afraid, like Woodrow said, to ask for. I want $1 million to play this
It's just
game, and I want a
bad.
million. You know
The
what I'm saying?
mismanagement, bad business.
Yeah.
But now you got somebody who walked in who's kind of like they was vocal and wasn't scared to speak it up. And you had Dion being that first person doing that,
I
so
was
it
gonna
might
bring him
trickle
up. Yep.
down to other universities too.
Yeah. What I see Dion doing is a great thing. I'm glad he struck the deal with CBS to broadcast the HBCU's games. I love the way he's bringing attention to Jackson State because, like he said, them kids deserve a chance just like anybody else. They work hard. They do two-a-days. They in the heat. What's the difference? Because they not on TV. That to me, that goes again just how this system is built to slight us. And I might be wrong, but that's how I feel about it. Because if they,
That's
it's
like,
just like Ice Cube said in the movie, they don't know, like they don't know, they don't show, or they just don't care.
Hey, you
right.
got to have that one brave person who step out there. Like back during the civil rights days,
Yeah.
some people were like, "Hey, just you got a house, you got a job. Hey, you fine, you got food." But you needed that Martin Luther King to
They
speak up
Right.
for
they
you.
want us to be satisfied.
Right.
They
We're
want us to
Yeah,
never
be
fine.
satisfied.
I just
And
told my
so
wife that
we
today.
can't
Yeah.
afford to be satisfied
Right.
because
Let me
we
tell
Right.
you
have to
something though.
move.
I did drink some tequila, but I got water, so that's what I'm drinking.
You know what? Y'all talking about the Southern Heritage Classic. What I don't hear anyone speaking of is I know that, and I'm sorry, sir, Mr. Clark, it was they got 350, 450 $350,000 is what Jackson State got for going there, and that was to pay for 4 football buses, 7 band buses, 1 administrative buses. The band I know gets there on Friday night. They leave on Sunday morning. Sometimes they leave on Saturday night because they can't afford to stay the other night, and then it pays for their food. And they do eat hot. They eat hot meals on their Piccadilly on one of these buffets, but that's what they get. But what I don't hear anybody talking about is the money that now it's not coming from the Southern Heritage Classic. Woodrow is correct. More of that money should go to each of those schools. Absolutely, because everybody's making money. But what I don't hear anyone talking about is what are we doing with the donation from FedEx? Because both of those schools participate.
Thank
Each
you.
school gets $1 billion donation from FedEx.
Sure do.
So what with that money? Now, is that money not going to help the athletic budget? Is that not going to make sure that the students have? I heard Dion say they had to borrow money to get back home, which is not true. But what I'm saying is, if you guys, if we don't have money, then we should be able to subsidize from the $1 million that FedEx donated. Now, FedEx is a sponsor, I get it, but they give each school $1 million. What's happening with that
I
money?
mean, how are they borrowing money when he said he donated his salary, right?
Oh, what?
And then,
They don't have
and then,
Dion ain't
hey
always
guys,
telling the
Tom
truth.
just said, he said Jackson State doesn't have an athletic fund.
They don't have a fund and just like, hey, you done this program. They don't have that there. It's just Jackson State. And people don't know that. I remember in school, they would talk about that all the time. We were in football or basketball, all the other sports. They're like, there's not a separate fund just for sports. When people think they donated at the football game, they say they donate or whatever. That's not to that program.
That fund only exists as the top five.
Huh?
That fund only exists as the the major top five colleges from the SEC and all of that. They have a fund like that. That like Ohio State. That's
Yeah.
where my sister graduated from.
That's the athletic fund.
Right, right.
You can't just donate.
HBCUs don't have that
Right.
because
So most people don't
everybody
know
got
that.
everybody got to draw from that pot.
you know, this past Friday, I attended the coaching luncheon at in Memphis, where TSU and Jackson State at, and FedEx was there, and they donated $1 million to each school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where that money went to? I said so
Yeah,
when they said that.
just saying.
$1 million would be over double their athletic budget
So
for their program.
Yeah.
I would tell you this: when that money is donated to each school, who gets the tax write-off? Find out who gets the tax write-off. You know who donated and what they want that money to go to. That's what you'll find out what that money was really
Fred
for.
Smith.
Huh?
Fred Smith.
Fred Smith.
That's
I
who
don't know
gets it.
Fred Smith.
Yeah, the owner of FedEx.
I don't know FedEx, the
So-
creator of FedEx.
Okay, so Fred Smith, the owner of FedEx, right? So who's he chumming
Right.
with these schools that he's done? Don't is his kids going to school for free or whatever the case may be? What
Hell no, his kid's white. Ain't
His
gonna man.
son,
that don't matter. Money speak. He said his kids. I don't know no Fred Smith. That sounds like a black name to me.
Fred Smith's son is coaching the Falcons right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's the
Everybody know the
Falcons
Falcons
coach
are
is
on
Fred
Home Depot.
Smith's son.
That's loan paper.
Yeah, I don't have.
That's
no
money
paper.
bag for real.
I don't have
Yeah.
before we get off here, I would like to. I think Miss Ashley Grant is going to be a teacher with her English degree. I would like to talk about a little bit about the teachers' pay and, versus judges' pay, and what I mean by that is we push education on our kids, and some of them want to go to teaching. Like me, I like the law, so I went into criminal justice. My son did the same thing. I think that was Chris that said kinesiology. Yeah, my son did the same thing as that. But why are we paying these teachers so little? It's like I wouldn't want to teach when I look at me and Clark looked it up today. The highest one teachers $68,000, and the lowest one is $40,000. And of course, as all of y'all know, the more education you have in teaching, the more money that you're gonna get paid. But it's a revolving door. I got to continue to get my education to get more money, but I got to continue to pay. You know what I'm saying? So either I continue to go in debt to make more money, or I stay where I at. That is soon going to be a profession that is lost because of that. That's a vicious cycle for kids. I mean, You teach for 5 years, you're making $40,000 a year. Of course, you got living expenses, all of that. After the year end, you probably have, let's just say $10,000. So $10,000, that's $40,000 over 4 5 years, 50,000 dollars. And then you got to do your masters. That's going to be another what, $10 to $15,000. Then you got to do this. If you want to be a principal, you got to have this. You got to have a PhD or whatever the case may be. But a judge, all they need is tenure on the bench. And they got that gavel to take their time. Well, we going state judges get paid just about as the same as teachers. Federal judges get paid 200 some $1,000. But they locking us up.
Mm.
Miss Ashley, what do you think about that?
I think the same thing you were saying. I was complaining to my parents about that. Like, why do I have to keep going back to school and be more in debt just to get paid more, and I have to pay off that student loans too. So I really don't feel that teachers are really getting the respect they need to get, because that's one of the few jobs you still have to take at home. And you have, not only are we a teacher, but we also have to be a second parent as well, because let's be real, most parents are not really invested into their children's education. So
Correct.
it's just a lot that goes to education that most people don't really know. So I feel like more teachers would come in if we really just got the respect and the pay, because the pay is horrible.
Horrible ain't the word. Young sis, I continue. I hope you continue to do what you want to do and continue if you want to teach. Continue to get your education. Don't let nobody stop you. If you're doing what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Trust me, because I love the law. That's why I chose criminal justice. You never work a day in your law, in your life. I said the law, but you know what I mean. Um, do anybody want to spawn upon that? Or I got anything to say, Marion? Oh, I want to talk to you, but you know, I hope you got your sound fixed. I'm gonna take that as a no. But Mr. Grant, Miss Grant, you got anything to add to that? How do you feel when your daughter tell you that the degree that she got in this that she's passionate about, that she don't want to continue going to school and keep going in debt?
I
He's
mean, I understand that.
he's preaching to the choir.
I
Oh,
understand.
okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Listen,
ma'am.
I laugh.
Now we can hear
Even though
Marion.
I started teaching in what 1996, I think you were in what 99. Her salary is double what mine was back then. So I don't know. I hear the salaries are raising. They're starting to like to what the
Like
54 to 52 somewhere in there now. But that's if you're in Metro Atlanta. Of course, if you're in the city of Atlanta, you're going to make more. So the larger the city, the more money you make. But the larger the city, the more problems you have. So I think about, I came from a small town in Mississippi, so I couldn't
Hmm.
afford to go back there and work. I would not go back and teach for that amount of money. And I tell everybody, I have heard people say, I love my job, I'll do it for free. I love being an educator. I don't just think this is my job. This is my calling to be an educator. However, I ain't doing it for free.
You can say that again. I'm not
So,
getting my bag for free
amen,
unless God wake me up and
amen.
tell me to move. You say that again. I understand that totally.
Because we
Hmm.
we put too much into what we do to do it for free. It's so
Hmm.
many sacrifices we make with our own family sometimes, and we have to catch ourselves
Hmm.
because we see everything.
Hmm.
We see everything. Because your
Hmm.
children don't keep your business at the house. They don't
Yeah.
keep your business at the house.
It
And
wasn't like
they think
Generation
and they
X.
think the elementary children, the high school children, the worst. They tell
Hmm.
all your business in complete sentences. In complete sentences.
My
And
mama
sometimes they
said.
bring pictures. They'll bring pictures, and you like, don't I don't need to know. I don't need to know all that. I don't need to know all your mama dad business and your whoever else. I don't need to know all that.
Hmm.
I don't even think I'm old enough to know all that. But sometimes they're in such horrible positions that they have to tell somebody. They
Oh
have, they
yeah, I
have to tell
mean
somebody.
that's why I'm surprised, Ashley. You know that you are a teacher. May I ask how old you are? I know my mom always told me it's disrespectful to ask a woman her age. You don't have
It's
to
fine.
tell me.
I'm 25.
How many
Oh,
years is
okay.
it?
Yeah. Like I told Chris, I got kids your age.
My third year teaching, so I'm still new to the field as well.
Oh, okay, okay. I understand. That gotta be rough. Being new to the field, it's just like for me and Clark being new in the military. It's lonely at the bottom. Trust me, I know. It's lonely at the bottom.
Starting
Yeah.
It's not really that hard because since the pandemic, education has been going through its transition. So fortunately, and it's a blessing. I don't teach in person. I teach virtual school. So that's actually way better than most teachers because I don't have to deal with the classroom management or behaviors. However, I still have to deal with the academic part, and sometimes behavior part as well in virtual, but it's not as bad.
I understand that. I understand. It's not as bad. It's not so hands on.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
understand that. Before I get off of here, I appreciate y'all's time. I know. Go
Yeah,
ahead. If
that's
you got
why.
something to say, Mr. Tom Jr., go ahead. Speak your mind, sir. It's an opinionated platform.
Oh shoot! Nah. I was telling I had a different experience going into a new career. Mine, it was all hands on everything. It was full go. Man, they wanted me out as an engineer. I know it was so labor burden. I'll put it that, man. Like, whew. Come in,
Yeah,
I don't work with people. I work with just inanimate objects all the time. I
right.
have to do a lot of designs and testing, and like you have to go through a lot of things to like see projects. Like the other day, I had to I was sweating too because I had to go down. I had to like climb down 5 stories or something like that into this small, tiny little tunnel. Walk like a quarter of a half mile just about down there, and there's like it's no air conditioning down there. It's straight hot. And it's like you had to climb up walls and go see stuff. And it's just to inspect like these little bars, these little nuts and bolts. That's it.
So
And
let me
it's like all
explain.
stuff.
Let me explain to you why I'm laughing. Your mother, your uncle. I don't know if Mr. Grant's your uncle or not, but he's your uncle. Your cousin Clark. All of them paid the way for you to complain about you got to do this. You
Yeah.
got to remember that. You got to remember
He's
that.
supervising other people. He's
Yeah,
supervising other people work. He's just going down in the hole to
right.
make
You
sure
you
they
got to
put
remember
the
that
rules in
everything that you
place.
complaining about, somebody else done put a foot before yours. Your job now is when you leave your footprints is to make sure the next man can come and follow through there, whoever it may
Yeah.
be. That's your job now. What you
Yeah.
complaining about? You 25 years old or 20 some years old. What you complaining about now? When you get 35 and 40, or when you get our age, 50 plus or whatever, you gonna say, "Oh man, it wasn't that hard. Who can I reach back and help?" And then all of
Right.
them laughing because they know I'm telling the truth. Because if it wasn't for
He,
And
somebody
he
may
that
I
just
did it
say,
ain't
for
fit.
me,
I
I
really
Yeah,
do
he just ain't feeling it right
appreciate.
now. That's all. He gonna be all right. He gonna find out. He gonna be all right.
I just don't like when our
And
kids
may
complain about the little things that they got to do because I don't know what you had to go. He don't know what you had to put up with in order for him to get where he at today, unless you done sat
Right.
down and told him, and he
No,
laughing
we
because
Right.
you
know.
done told him.
I know.
Right.
I know.
You know what
So
I'm saying?
And
and
you
may
are
I just say,
you
yeah,
I
are
really want
exactly
to say
right
that's what
because
I
I'm saying. He
appreciate
decided
those
they were
the
worth the
teachers and
sacrifice.
everything.
They were worth it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead,
Oh,
Woodrow.
excuse me. I just wanted to say I really do appreciate the teachers and commend them, especially even whatever level you are. Personally, I do have my second oldest sister is the head of the science department at Jackson State, and the stories that she has to tell me, um, it makes me so glad that I don't have kids. I'm 25 right now. It makes me very happy about it. Um, 'Cause
I
I
bet it
don't know
makes a
what
lot
it
of people
is. It's
happy.
just
Joke. I
I
know
really don't.
she's your
I really
girlfriend.
don't see how
Next
y'all.
statement I'm fired.
It really shows how a lot of these teachers can really put themselves into their work and the effort that they take with these kids, even a step further, with the things they really don't have to do. Because Lord, I'm not doing it. I know I couldn't do your job. I couldn't do it.
Hmm. No, I understand that.
I barely, I barely like working with the folks that I have right now, and they all grown. I'm corporate at Walmart. I am a corporate worker for Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing they
So
do.
when it comes when it comes down to it, um,
Lawyer.
I have some good folks with me. It's just Lord,
Mm-hmm.
y'all jobs are literally revolved around a constant rotation of different situations that can change in an instant. Just for example, like the Uvalde incident
And
that
that's
happened.
Mm-hmm.
They
nobody,
probably
when
could,
people are not expecting such things,
if they don't
Hmm.
you
probably
have no
hang
clue that that
out.
type of stuff can really happen, but it can happen.
So you might
Yes.
And you have teachers and students that have died in that situation.
probably
Yes.
get
I
to it, but
really do
they
commend
had
y'all
their
and
car.
appreciate y'all
They
because
can't drive
it's
their car. The
you
car
just
just sit
never
in their
know.
car.
Yes.
That's true.
They
Marion,
can't
I'd like
drive.
for you to get your points across now that we can hear you.
Work along. Them cars to get back and forth to work because Cabana never they get them the paperwork to get their tag. So it might be a class action lawsuits against Cabana. You probably need to
Who
look
is that?
into it.
Oh, that's Tom Senior.
Oh,
He
how you
another
doing,
Jackson
sir?
State person. Look, he another Jackson State person.
Yeah.
We all went to Jackson State and met our spouses.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a beautiful thing because you could have when you met your spouses at college, high school, whatever. It showed that you and your spouse can build something together. It shows that you and your spouse can hold each other accountable. It's like, let me pick on Mr. Grant and Mrs. Grant. I quite sure when he was messing up and didn't want to do whatever research paper, you got on him and told him, hey, you need to do this. However it was, but you made sure, and vice versa. Am I wrong?
Still,
If
still
I'm
do.
wrong, let me know.
Now, I'm just going
A good woman would change your life. I don't care what nobody say. Fellas, listen to that. And I'm quite sure these men will tell you that a good woman that wants you to succeed, don't want nothing from you, a good woman would change your life. So,
You're 100% right.
right. But Chris, I would like for you to start with your final thoughts, sir, if you have
I
any.
would also like to say, we just off of that topic right there. I
Hmm.
appreciate Miss Marion up there because Lord knows, when I first met her at A&M, at Alabama A&M, in the band, once school started, I was just known, especially in my section. I was part of Sticks. That's their drum line. I was definitely known for getting my stuff there. It was gonna be on time, but it was gonna be last minute. I was also
Procrastinator.
part of the athletic program, so I was also a soccer player.
Oh, wow.
Um, it was gonna be on time, but it was gonna be last minute. I'm gonna tell you right now, she would have to get on me every single time. Um, I just want to say, ma'am, I appreciate you because you definitely pushed me to be better. I'm still gonna be on time though. It might not be fully when you want it, but I'm still gonna be there.
Mr. Tom Jr., would you like to get your final thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I ain't got much to say. It's just like I just want to basically say the HBCU experience is definitely worth it. I mean, Jackson State was like the best situation for me personally. But I feel like there for any like African American, any black person out there, there's a certain like every HBCU you go to, they all give you your own unique experience that's worth going to. Any of them, honestly. I have friends that I've met across my many stages of life from like going from East Coast to West Coast, and I've seen so many go to like what was it River State, well not River State, but Norfolk State, and friends from Hampton who went to Florida A&M, sadly, Alabama A&M, Prairie View.
Everybody make mistakes.
Yeah.
Everybody make
Exactly.
mistakes. It's okay. We
And
accept them
Fist
still.
too, you know what I'm saying? I've heard rave reviews from everybody. It's all different experiences. It all comes down to the baseline of like everybody's true, like family. It's that atmosphere. It's that comfortability as an African American you feel amongst other African Americans that you get at those universities. And it's always everybody who always talks about the pleasure they have of experiencing that in that time.
I didn't have that at Bluefield State. It was 80% white, sir.
You know,
We wish we could have
Clark can tell you
saved
I'm a
you.
jokester, so I like to joke.
That we wish we could have saved you. And like my son said, you you want I the one thing that I love about HBCUs is the fact that you have young people gathered together that have a single commonality
Hmm.
where it's like a little island when they get to be themselves without the pressure from the outside world saying that they have to be this or they have to be that. You can just
Yes.
be your black self right there in that
Yes.
environment without the pressures. And people like, well, I want
Yes.
to be able to relate to other races and I need that experience, there is nothing like getting a foundation that lets you know that I am okay. I'm okay being
Trust me, I
around my
know.
people.
I live in
Because when
Arizona.
I go out there in the world, I'm gonna have to deal with them all the time anyway. So why not have this little moment in your life?
Mm-hmm.
There's just a little moment in your life where
Mm-hmm.
you can find out who and what you really are, what you believe, what you can do, in an environment that is as safe as any environment could possibly be at the time. Because
Mm-hmm.
nothing is completely safe. You can be
Mm-hmm.
hurt, have hurt, harm, and danger wherever you go. But why not have just for once that little peace? Just a
Mm-hmm.
little peace.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have a little fun. You can have a time when a black boy they can have a boys can be boys moment. Because our boys don't get that.
Trust me, I
Just
know. I
boys,
live in Arizona.
you
That's all
know,
I'm
just
saying.
just you know, like I told one boy, and I know it's not right. You can fall out drunk in the middle of the class. They gonna take you in the back, cuss you out, and send you to class on Monday. You going to class? You ain't going to prison.
Right.
You going to class on Monday? They gonna talk about how you a disappointment to your whole generation, but you going to class Monday,
You're gonna be
and that
embarrassed
what
a little
matters.
bit,
You
but you're
going
gonna
to
know,
class?
hey, I don't want to do that again.
No, because they gonna make you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna lay all that on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the generations that fought and died for you to get this experience, blah 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 blah. But you going to
Mm-hmm.
class Monday.
Yep.
Somebody's looking out for you.
The grants. Would you like to give
So
y'all?
that's
I
it.
don't care which order y'all go. Would y'all like to give y'all final start?
There you go.
I enjoyed the dialogue,
Appreciate that,
listening to
sir.
everyone's different perspectives on the HBCU experience. And what I got out of it, we see that we're making progress, but we still have some stairs to climb
Mm-hmm.
going ahead. Hopefully, we're gonna get there.
Yeah, the only way we're gonna get there is for young Tom Jr. to go ahead and start doing them contracts. Miss Ashley Grant, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are HBCUs are like is a great experience for all African Americans and even other people of other races. It really brought more out of me. I had really good experience with my professors. They took me in like I was one of theirs, and I feel like you'll get that at every HBCU. So it's a really great experience. It's worth the cost.
Great. And Miss Kimberly, right? Kimberly Grant.
Yep.
Listen,
You won't find me saying too much bad about any HBCU. I love them all. I just love my two more. I think that it just requires us to put our money where our mouths are. We can talk
Mm-hmm.
about what the school is or is not doing right, but if we're not willing to pay the $50 a year alumni fee, if we're not willing to invest 1,000 or so and to be a lifetime alumni member, which is a minimal cost when you think about it, and your kids reap the benefits of a
Yes.
lot of different things when you
Yes.
do. So if we're not willing to put our money where our mouths are, we can't be willing to say it. If we're not willing to say, well, you know what, I'm a former band member, let me contribute to the band fund to make sure that the kids have what they need when they get where they're going, then we can't complain. So either we're going to be part of the problem or we're going to be whining and complaining about something that we can't fix. So it
Mm-hmm.
takes us to fix it. And I feel the same way about education. We need to support our teachers. We know what the minimum pay is, but you still expect to send your children to us to babysit. And that's not all. I'll venture to say that's about 5% of our parents. The
Mm-hmm.
majority of our parents truly care. But for the ones who don't, they saw it when we went virtual and closed those school doors. Then teachers became heroes because you had to sit at home and we had to plead with you to go tell them to turn the laptop on and you couldn't make them do it.
You
So
got
I said we got to support our teachers, and teachers have to band together as well and stand up for what we want, and not just teachers, positions in education. We have to stand together to make sure that we are educating our children to the best of our abilities, that the money is being spent right, and that we are investing in our teachers, because the ones that are going to pay for it are little brown and black children. So we have to
every
be willing to
time.
support.
Every time. Mr.
Yeah.
Clark and young Mrs. Clark, would y'all like to give y'all final start? We can't hear them.
Now we can't hear either one of them now.
Mm-hmm. Well, Woodrow, I said you for last for a reason because you remind me of an older brother. You remind me of
Oh,
somebody
Lord.
that sit back and just have all the wisdom and all the knowledge, and you just listen and you soak it up, and you just like, let me put my spin on it. So, sir, would you grace us with your final thoughts?
Yes, sir. I really enjoyed the forum tonight and listened to all the educators and military personnel. And I would like to say that somebody laid the path for us to go to college or go to the military. And like Miss Grant, as said, Kimberly said earlier, my son is his final year at Alcorn State University. When he was in high school, he said, "Dad, I want to go to. I think I changed my mind. I want to go to Mississippi State." And then he said, "Mississippi State, Alcorn. Ole Miss." I said, "You can go. You know, I ain't gonna stop you to going where you want to go, but I know where my money gonna go to." So I said, "Unless you got a scholarship, you can go to Mississippi State, Ole Miss." But their whole tunes changed though.
Mm-hmm.
When he said, my money not going to there.
Mm-hmm.
My money going to HBCU school." So, like I say, this is final year in Alcorn. He did his internship. He's a agriculture major, and so he and company already have things lined up for him already. So just by
Nice.
listening to all my guys, my family member here, you know, I love talking about the HBCU experience because it was like a big family to me. They pushed me, and when they saw me slipping, they tell me you better straighten yourself up.
Right. Because
Right,
my experience at HBCU, as you already know, wasn't like that. If I was slipping, it was up to me. It's like that professor, hey, you need to do better. I didn't have nobody to
right,
turn to or somebody to pull my coattail and be like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. It was either I was going to get it or I wasn't.
Like, you better get
You
your
know,
life
so
together.
and I appreciate all it for all of y'all's time and everything. Clark, did you get your sound fixed?
No.
Yes, you did. We can hear you.
Hey, I really appreciate seeing all my folks, and we do a podcast every Wednesday, so we'll shoot you a text and let you know our next topic, and if you like to join in.
Oh, feel free. Yeah, feel free. If y'all got a podcast, y'all want to have us on or whatever. I mean, Clark is my co-host because, like I said, we talk every day. We talk every day, so we're like two old grumpy old men.
That's right.
Well, shout out her podcast.
Yeah,
She
shout it
has a
out.
You guys can follow my podcast, Rooted in Grace Podcast, and that's where we have authentic conversations, but it's rooted in Christ.
Oh yeah, that's great.
All
Oh
right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, my girl.
I love that. I wasn't expecting you to say that. You caught me off guard because I mean, but being so young, I don't see too many young people like this is where I'm at. You know what I mean? Of course, as we
Yeah.
get older, we all want to follow Christ, but 25 and congratulations, ma'am.
Well, thank you.
I'll check you out. Mary, here's your chance.
Since I didn't say anything earlier, I do come from a family of educators, but I took a different path, and I'm in school nutrition. And a lot of people don't take what we do serious. They feel like we just sling lunches and that's it. I work at a predominantly black school now, and the way I see people handle us, I want to see those children go to HBCUs. I want them to experience things that they can't experience here, to be embraced by that family, because I wasn't embraced when I went to high school, middle school, and elementary where I was, but I was embraced in college.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great experience. And I try to embrace you in the kitchen, but once you leave here, that's on at other people to embrace you. It's a true family experience, and it's nice to talk to a lot of people from one of my favorite bands.
Yeah. So, who's the producer of the group? Nobody does. Everybody in the band, and nobody does music.
Well, you
Oh,
know what?
no.
My son-in-law does producing, and he's a former Warren.
I'm just gonna say we got one.
Okay.
He produces. He is on a
You better plug Phil. You better plug Phil.
artist. He's on a couple of their records as a producer. He does write beats, and he's sold some of those to some major artists. I don't know these new folks' names. Little somebody. That's all I can say.
Only
He's
one I know
making
is
up
Lil
on
Yachty.
that. That is not his job. but that is his passion, and he has built his own studio, and he works really hard at that. So he is a former Sonic Boom of the South member, and that's what he enjoys doing.
Yeah, if you know his information, shout him out so people can find him. Because my nephew does beats as well, so that's what I do. Okay, never mind.
I know it's something with ill feel. Now I don't know anything else. Okay, Ashley, no.
If you want to reach him, he's on Instagram, Ill Feel Productions.
Illfield Productions, there you go. Yep. But again, I appreciate everybody being on, and my final thoughts are: it's not amazing, but it's good to see how the narrative is changing. And most people think when you meet somebody from Mississippi or down south or somebody like that they're behind on education. In my opinion, if you look at the education chart, Mississippi is the lowest one on the map. But when you look at the education for Mississippi and black people, they gotta be number one. I didn't research that, but that's the way I see it. They gotta be number one. Everybody I done met from down south is able to hold an intelligent conversation, and they're not saying, "Man, you know what I mean," and this and that. Yeah, I'm from West Virginia. I grew up on the wrong side. I am a little rough around the edges, but I am also educated. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference. I can hold that conversation, and don't know y'all, but I am proud to see all of y'all. Just like, hey, this is what it is. Maybe somebody to see this show because we streaming live to YouTube at Chef Lou's Roundtable, and we also streaming live on Facebook. And I just love to put these beautiful black faces in a position where, hey, these little black kids can say, he look like me. I can do what he do. You know what I'm saying? I want to change the narrative of how the world see us. Because if you look at the news, they show us killing, they show us robbing, they show us whatever. But they never show this. They never. We need to take control and
And
tell
they
our own
not.
story. And you're right, big bro. They not. They not. They not. So I appreciate all of y'all's time and everything. If it's something I can do and I can do it, you have a friend in me. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Way off the air.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's wonderful. I love it. I
Thank you
absolutely
so
love
much.
it.
We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
I'll be down that way soon. I told Clark I'm coming to visit him.
Okay.
All right. Y'all have a
All
good
right, y'all
night.
have a good one.
You too.
All right, you too.
All right, Mr. Grant.